Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Okay, today we are going to completely demystify the whole job interview process. Let's be real, for a lot of us, an interview feels kind of like a black box, right? Just this mysterious, super nerve-wracking event where you cross your fingers, walk into a room, and hope you magically say the right things. But what if we stopped looking at it like playing the lottery? What if we started treating it like an architecture project that you can actually control? Imagine building your success from the ground up. Well, that is exactly what we're going to construct today. To kick things off, let's look at a quote that honestly completely changes the game. The candidates who consistently perform well in interviews are the most prepared. And preparation is something entirely within your control. I really want you to let that sink in for a second. Performing well isn't about having some natural, effortless charisma or being endlessly perfect. Nope. Good performance is simply the result of good preparation. And honestly, that is an incredibly empowering realization. The anxiety we feel usually just comes from feeling out of control. So by focusing entirely on your preparation, you are literally taking the steering wheel right back.
All right, so here is the blueprint for our explainer today. First, we'll be redefining the job interview. Then we'll take a peek inside the interviewer's mind. After that, we'll go through 5 steps to prepare, followed by navigating the actual big day. And finally, we'll wrap up with your weekly action plan. Section 1. Redefining the job interview, shifting your mindset.
You know, we often buy into this really damaging myth. We kind of think interviewers want us to be endlessly impressive, firing off flawless answers, and never ever stumbling. Man, that is exhausting, and frankly, it's impossible. What do they actually want? Well, they want to build trust. They want to see that you can communicate clearly, and they want to gauge your self-awareness. Notice what isn't on that list: perfection. Letting go of that myth provides massive psychological relief, for sure. The reality of what they want is actually highly achievable. Okay, moving on to section 2. Inside the interviewer's mind, the foundation. Let's look at the person across the table. When you walk into a room, or, log onto a video call, the interviewer is silently trying to answer a few really specific questions. They're thinking, do you understand this opportunity and what the work actually involves? Can you communicate clearly? Do your real-world examples actually back up the claims you're making? Are you self-aware and prepared? And ultimately, can I trust you? So the absolutely crucial point here is this. The interviewer is not looking for a theatrical performance. Not at all. They are looking for genuine alignment. They're basically looking for a colleague they can trust. And that leads us right into what being well-prepared actually looks like. It is definitely not about memorizing a script. It's really just about having the basics down cold. Before the interview even starts, you should be able to easily explain what the company does, what they care about, what the role involves, why you're genuinely interested, and of course, what parts of your background are most relevant. Plus, you should know who you're meeting with, if they gave you names, and have some thoughtful questions ready to ask them. See? These basics are entirely in your hands. This is the solid foundation you control.
Which brings us to section 3, 5 steps to prepare, framing the house.
All right, here is your 5-step blueprint. Step 1. Research the company. 2. Research the role. 3. Know your application. 4. Prepare an example bank. And 5. Practice out loud. These are absolutely non-negotiable. If you follow this path, you've got the entire preparation journey covered. Let's break them down real quick. Steps 1 and 2 are all about your research. Go poke around their website, check out their LinkedIn, read some recent news articles. Ask yourself, what problem does this organization actually exist to solve? What are their values? You absolutely do not need to be an expert here. You just need the basics. Then head back to that job description. Look at what responsibilities they list first. Are there any skills that come up more than once? What does success in this role probably look like? Once you figure that out, it's like a giant puzzle. You just connect the dots by asking yourself, what evidence do I already have that matches up with what they care about? Step 3. Know your application. Now, I know this sounds super obvious, but you'd be surprised how often it trips up candidates. You have to be able to explain what you wrote on your CV and why you wrote it. Your CV, your LinkedIn profile, and the words actually coming out of your mouth in the interview, they all need to broadly align. If you claim to have, say, strong communication skills on paper, well, you better be ready to demonstrate that in the room. Don't just repeat the claim. Prove it through how you deliver your answers.
Step 4 is honestly your secret weapon. Prepare a small bank of real examples. Notice I said small. You do not need 50 stories. You just need 3 to 4 real examples from your life. They can be from a past job, volunteering, school, a family business, or just your community. The whole goal is to gather a few stories that show something useful about how you think and how you operate. What's so great about having just 3 or 4 rock-solid stories is their flexibility. You can adapt them on the fly to answer a huge variety of behavioral questions. It is a total game changer.
And finally, step 5, practice out loud. I literally cannot emphasize this enough. Thinking through an answer in your head is completely different from actually saying it out loud. Most people discover this trap the hard way, right in the middle of the actual interview, stumbling over their words just because it's the very first time their mouth is forming those sentences. So practice out loud. Do it with a friend if you can. The goal is to actually hear yourself, notice where you start to drift or ramble, and tighten it up. Let's jump to section 4, navigating the big day. Opening doors. We are moving right from prep into execution. Now, when it comes to logistics, your prep splits a bit depending on the format. For in-person interviews, plan your timing out carefully. Dress for their specific culture, bring any materials you need, arrive with time to spare, and, this is key, give yourself a minute to just settle before you walk in. Now, if it's remote, test your internet, your camera, sound, and lighting way in advance. Pick a clean background, turn off every single notification, and log on early. Controlling these super simple logistics prevents so much unnecessary stress on the big day.
But even if you completely nail the logistics, I know exactly what you're wondering. What about nerves? It is the most common question there is. Let me validate that for you right now. Feeling anxious is completely 100% normal. The goal here isn't to magically eliminate your nerves. The goal is just to learn to manage them well enough that they don't block your way.
Let's say you get hit with a question that just makes your mind go completely blank. Instead of panicking and rushing to fill that awkward silence, you can literally just say, "That's a good question. Let me think about that." Notice my pacing there? You are absolutely allowed to buy time. You are allowed to take a breath. Effectively managing your nerves basically comes down to 3 actions. First, slow down. Second, listen carefully to the entire question before you start drafting your answer in your head. And third, take a deliberate pause before you actually respond. Rushing just fuels your anxiety. Pausing, on the other hand, fuels authority. Give yourself the space to breathe and think. All right, section 5, your weekly action plan, the final push. Let's get you set up for success right now. Here are 3 highly actionable, low-stake things I want you to try doing this week, even if you don't even have an interview on the calendar yet. First, pick one company you'd love to work for and research it properly. Jot down what they do, what they care about, and why you're interested. Second, write down 3 real examples from your life that show how you work and stash them somewhere you can refer back to. And third, practice answering that classic prompt, "Tell me about yourself," out loud. Time yourself. Aim for about 90 seconds to 2 minutes. Notice where you drift and tweak it. Building this architecture right now, before you even need it, builds the habit. Which brings us to our final thought. You now have the blueprint. You know that preparation is the foundation of performance, and you know it is entirely in your control. So my question to you is, what will you build this week? Thanks so much for hanging out with me on this explainer. Dive into that action plan, and I'll catch you next time.